principle of curing like with like, a so-called alternative therapy rapidly gaining credence among orthodox doctors. Homeopathy, medicine, or magic?
"200 years ago, a strange new medicine was invented. It was called homeopathy. And despite all the advances of modern medicine, homeopathy still survives today. That is surprising because its central principle is diametrically opposed to that of established medical science. Homeopathy believes that the more a drug is diluted, the more powerful and beneficial a treatment it becomes. In order to work, the drug must be repeatedly diluted and shaken in a special way. It's a belief system that sounds more like arcane ritual magic than modern rational medicine. And yet, today, in the late 20th century, homeopathy is becoming more and more popular, not just with the general public, but among doctors too. So which is it? Medicine or magic? In Britain, alternative medicine seems to be booming, offering a variety of treatments and potions unheard of in conventional medicine. Homeopathic remedies are particularly in demand, suggesting homeopathy has a special appeal.
Homeopathy is the most popular and well-known of all the alternative forms of medicine. It is, in fact, the only alternative form of medicine available on the NHS. It has a long tradition of medical practice attached to it. And there are over 500 fully qualified doctors, plus 5 NHS hospitals operating in the country. Therefore, I think homeopathy has a much higher profile than many of the other alternative medicines. Also, the royal patronage, without doubt, does help homeopathy to raise its profile and to give it a seal of approval.
The royals are big fans. The Queen Mother, Prince Charles, and the Queen herself have each given royal warrants to firms of homeopathic chemists. And when medicine was nationalised in 1948, the royal patronage was crucial in ensuring homeopathy became part of the NHS. Today, there remain a handful of homeopathic hospitals which have doggedly survived attempts to axe them, and where you can still get treatment on the NHS. Like any other NHS hospital, they have qualified nurses and properly qualified doctors.
And he did very well to begin with.
Every doctor is fully trained in conventional medicine and has then taken up homeopathy. A consultation at first appears like any other.
So it's arthritis?
But quite soon, the similarities with orthodox medicine begin to disappear.
Are you a sensitive person? Are you intuitive? Can you read people's minds? I know that's a difficult question, but are you a worrier, for instance? Are you a big worrier?
No.
Are you a neat person? Are you very tidy and meticulous and precise?
Yes.
Very?
Organized.
A strong-willed person, would you say?
Yes.
In diagnosing the patient's illness and deciding on treatment, personality can be as important as the disease itself. With hundreds of possible remedies to choose from, the doctor tries to match up all the aspects of a patient's illness with the particular homeopathic drug that's been found over the years to work best for people with his very specific symptoms and personality. So, unlike conventional medicine, people with the same disease may often not get the same treatment.
We'll start you off with a homeopathic remedy, which is really some of the main symptoms that you've brought up, all right? For example, the wind and the bloating, not so good in the middle of the afternoons as a general feature, and also the rather odd symptom which you brought up of the feeling of something alive inside the abdomen.
But the biggest difference from conventional medicine is with the homeopathic remedies themselves. Unlike most normal drugs, they are made mainly from plants or minerals. There's no chemical processing, the whole plant extract is used. And millions of medicines can be made from just one drop. Homeopaths claim that gradually diluting the extract in stages will make it more potent, providing every time it's diluted, it's succussed. Each stage of dilution involves adding 1 drop to 100 drops of a water-alcohol mixture. It was an 18th century German physician, Samuel Hahnemann, who first laid down the principles of homeopathy. He said that a disease can be cured by giving a substance that produces similar symptoms to the disease itself. He called it curing like with like. He also claimed to find, apparently by accident, that diluting and shaking the substance makes it safer and more powerful. But as each stage, called a potency, makes the mixture 100 times more dilute than before, the levels of dilution quickly become astronomical. After only 3 stages, it's 1,000,000 times more dilute. But homeopathic doctors might prescribe anything up to 1,000 stages of dilution, normally in the form of pills. To a bottle of sugar pills will be added just a drop or 2 of the final dilution, and that's the medicine. In the real world of normal physics and chemistry, it's hardly surprising most doctors and scientists regard much of homeopathy as completely absurd.
One of the basic principles of homeopathy is simply that the less you give of a drug, the bigger effect that it has. And this is really rather like saying the less whiskey you drink, the more drunk you get. Everybody knows that that's not true, and one really doesn't have to have any sort of scientific subtlety to realize that it's not true. It's counter to ordinary everyday experience. Now, this is really very easily illustrated by just considering the sort of dilutions that are used in homeopathic remedies. There's quite a commonly used dilution, 24C so-called. What that means is that you make a 100-fold dilution of the drug and then you repeat that and you repeat it another 24 times. And that means you've diluted the drug out by a factor of 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 fold. So there's not very much of the drug left. In fact, there's none of the drug left whatsoever. In order to get even 1 single molecule of the drug, when the dilution is like that, you would have to take a pill which was the size of the whole planet Earth just to get 1 molecule. Now that is really very hard to swallow.
And yet, more and more people seem to think homeopathy works.
Just 1 pill 3 times a day.
Last year, an estimated 8 million Britons took homeopathic remedies and had over 1 million consultations, some of them apparently successful, as for this patient with severe rheumatoid arthritis.
I saw an immediate improvement within a couple of months. So it was a very dramatic thing that conventional medicine certainly couldn't help me at all, and homeopathy did.
He was asthmatic and he was not very well. I took him to the doctor and the drugs that he was getting were making him rather dopey. So I thought there's got to be another way, and I tried homeopathy. And it's worked. It's been brilliant for him.
I wouldn't practice homeopathy if I wasn't convinced, if I hadn't been convinced by my own personal experiences over many years that these things do have effects. I know what, I'm conventionally trained in medicine. I know what you can achieve with conventional drugs. And I've seen homeopathy do things that I'm sure one couldn't have done by any other means. And that is giving you
Sometimes there appear to be spectacular cures.
I started treatment last Wednesday, and by Saturday night I could move my foot that I haven't been able to move for at least 9 years. I just can't believe it. I feel fantastic. So, it's a miracle.
But miracles aren't proof. And the official view is that homeopathy only works as a placebo effect, any cures being due to suggestion. It's all in the mind.
Basically, we were unable to find any evidence to support the view that homeopathy offers anything to patients other than it will help from a psychological and possibly even a psychiatric point of view. Patients need a shoulder to cry on, and the homeopathic physician provides that. Whether his medicines do any good or not is another matter.
The medical establishment having dismissed homeopathy, it takes courage to investigate it within its very walls. But that's just what one young doctor at Glasgow's prestigious Royal Infirmary has done. David Riley, like other doctors, has been aware of the growth of alternative medicine, and out of sheer scientific curiosity, felt he had to discover why some of it appeared to work.
It seemed to me